Porto, a city I love. I love its history, the way it clings to the hills at the mouth of the Douro, from where its famous fortified wine has been shipped for centuries.
For nearly 400 years, British names have dominated the world of port. This curious connection is proudly on display outside the port houses here in Vila Nova de Gaia. And 400 years old is about the age of Joe's favourite port.
There's all the people you know really well, like tailors and Sandeman. Who else we got?
We've got Wars over there.
Wars and Dows.
Britain and Portugal have been trading partners since the 14th century, longer than any other nation. But why? To explain this long history, we are meeting local historian Dr. Natalia Fovrel.
I remember the accord in 1986 when Mrs. Thatcher talked about this incredibly long trading history between Britain and Portugal that went back to 1386. And there was the Methuen Treaty as well in 1703. Was it wool for wine, and it became known as the Wine Treaty? Is that right?
Textiles for wine. Yes. So this treaty, at the time, it was important for the economy between the two countries because British allowed our wine, Portuguese wine, to enter in the British market with less taxes than the French wine. So it was important for us. Although the big wine commerce came during the end of the 18th century and the 19th century. That's when the two countries started to have big relations in terms of wine trade.
And that was much more to do with war and Napoleon and...
At that time, during the war, because they couldn't buy French wines, they came to Portugal and they started buying our Vinho Verde from Monção. And then they discovered the Douro, the Upper Douro, and that's why the port became port, the Englishman's wine.
How significant would you say the port industry is now?
Nowadays, we went global, so the market, it's not only an English market.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking us through the history of it.
Despite our Venus entente, we often don't give port the credit it deserves. Amelia and I can't even agree on when or how to drink it.
Port has two duties: to be read and to be drunk.
I'm so glad you're not in charge of any port marketing.
Why?
I mean, if we all stuck to those rules, we'd only be having it with Stilton at Christmas time.
Yes.
I mean, I quite like to have it as a cocktail instead of a Pimm's.
A cocktail?
Maybe in the
Vintage
evening.
port in a cocktail?
Let me show you.
OK, I'm game for a laugh.
I'm taking Joe to the Yetman Hotel, an opportunity to revel in the best sunset view in Porto. Just not tonight.
This is going to be a first.
I cannot wait. I mean, because you can do so many things with port. I mean, what I'm going to try and do this summer is do the white port and tonic, because that's very easy. I'm not a mixologist, but even I can do that.
Yeah.
And then, if you're having a smart party or something, to just have the sparkling wine with a bit of ruby port, that could be a fun twist. But, you know, you can also mix port with things like bourbon and brandy if you want more of that robust, manly element.
I feel a little bit more like I'm in a comfortable area.
You don't have to shove an umbrella in it, is all I'm saying.
I'm not having anything with an umbrella in it. Look at this.
So here they are.
Oh, fantastic.
So this is made
so
with
much.
Croft Pink, the first rosé port, and a dash of jasmine tea. For the gentleman is pale with Taylor's chip dry.
What's with the chip dry?
It's tonic water
and
something that makes completely the whole difference.
Yes.
Orange instead of lemon zest.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Here we go.
I hope you
Here goes-
enjoy.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm going to have to be horribly honest and say I absolutely love that. This is like a proper old-school cocktail. I really like this sort of bitterness. Go on.
I love this because
You're going to have to persuade me on this one.
it's very sophisticated, Joe.
I was more comfortable holding that glass than this one.
There's no umbrellas.
That's more porty, actually.
Yeah, it is absolutely more porty.
I am going to admit, I've quite enjoyed this process of you changing my mind. You've opened a new vista on the world of port. Oh, that's good.
It's a new and much brighter day, and in our quest to get to know port, we decide to follow the Douro inland. By far the best way to do that is by boat. And because Amelia can't escape to a swanky wine bar, I thought it would be a good opportunity to share some of my wisdom. I've got a bottle each of Ruby, Tawny and Vintage, all of which you could easily find in a supermarket. And we are going to compare them.
Now, this is where the real fun begins, because we can have a port tasting. Well, let's see how well you know them. I'm going to pour this out.
Oh, that's a good colour.
First up, a Ruby. Ruby port is the cheapest and most common type of port, and it doesn't improve with time.
The Mask of Zorro wines.
The Sandeman Ruby.
Sandeman Ruby.
That vineyard there, right next to us.
That would go nicely with some sparkling wine, maybe.
It certainly would not. This, next to another wine of the same kind of price, you'd say this was the best wine every time. I love it.
Secondly, a Tawny, a better wine. This spends time in barrels so that they can take on nutty flavours and are generally quite sweet.
This is lighter, nuttier. Give you a top tip. If you don't want pudding, just have this. And it's like a pudding in a glass.
And finally, a Vintage. These improve with age, so the longer you can leave them, often the better.
That is an amazingly coloured wine. Isn't that beautiful? It's a Wars 2003. That's a serious bottle of wine.
Yeah, that is.
And these are the best vineyards in the very best years.
That's why vintage port is always going to be more expensive than other ports, because they don't make them every year. They're normally from the best grapes, the top vineyards.
I think we now need some peace and quiet to enjoy these wines.
I'll take that cue to go and sunbathe at the other end of the boat. But there's more to the Douro than port. The region is really taking the wine world by storm with great table wines. The Symington family are at the forefront of this revolution. They might sound British, but they can trace their roots in Portugal back to 1652. Paul Symington tells us what makes the Douro so unique.
Everybody will tell you that their region's different, and all I can tell you is that ours is really incredibly low in organic matter. There's 1% organic matter in these schistous soils, very rocky, so we have incredibly low yields. We get per vine about 400 grams. I mean, that's half what you get in Bordeaux and a quarter what you get in Champagne.
So a bottle, half a bottle or so per vine,
exactly.
As opposed to three or four bottles, maybe half a dozen bottles.
Yeah.
And what does a low yield mean in terms of actual taste and quality?
Well, huge concentration, which is what makes the great vintage ports that has made our region famous over 300 years. And increasingly, we're applying those same grapes and using them in a slightly different way to make some really interesting red wine. Hopefully, we have a good future with them.
Back at the winery, I have to say, looking at this modern tasting room, the Symingtons have really succeeded in throwing off port's pipe and slippers image.
What New World has shown us that you really need to engage much more with the people who are going to drink your wine, and bringing them here, I think, is a really powerful way of connecting with people. So we've managed to transform ourselves from an ultra traditional port region into one of the most exciting wine regions in the world. You've got port reinventing itself, and in parallel, some extraordinarily brilliant red and white wines being made. I think it's really exciting times.
Well, this trip has only re-emphasised it's one of the world's most creative and innovative regions at the moment, so we may as well do it a service and enjoy it in creative and imaginative ways at home.
People should enjoy them. I do hope people will enjoy it not just at Christmas. Just have it this week. If you've got a decent bottle of port, you should just go and drink it. Well, I'm going to enjoy this. I've got a Tawny.
I'm back on my white.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.